Now
on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It is 6:07 on News Talk 105.9 WMAL. We are making sense of the news. A good Thursday to one and all. Jam-packed show. We got Jim Gilmore, former governor of Virginia, former U.S. ambassador, joining us in the next hour. Susan Crabtree as well. She's doing exceptional work for Real Clear Politics on a variety of national security and defense and homeland security issues. She's the author of the forthcoming book, Fool's Gold: The Radicals, Con Artists, and Traitors Who Killed the California Dream and Now Threaten Us All. I'm going to talk about this. Actually, I'm going to come back to this in a second, this film premiere. We got Kat Timpf joining us. She's got a new book out, I Used to Like You Until: How Binary Thinking Divides Us. You know her, of course, from Fox News. I'm Andrew Langer. She is Mercedes Schlapp. Good morning, Mercedes. Can't hear you, my dear. I don't know. We lost you there, but let me hold on one second. So we also, by the way, have here. There we go. We have this film premiering in D.C. We've got it's the latest in the God's Not Dead series. We're going to have Michael Scott and David A. R. White. You've got a premiere tonight, Mercy. That's happening. All right, hold on. We're going to come back to you in a second because you've muted yourself. We'll you guys will talk about this. But if you can hear me, I can. You've somehow muted yourself, my dear. We'll figure this out. Let me get this here. So yesterday, of course, was September 11th, and we talked about this. Julie and I sort of talked a little bit about our moments. 9/11. Obviously, both Trump and Biden were doing things yesterday for this. Mercy, talk to me. Let me hear you. Nope, still no. All right. Well, hold on. So Joe Biden was up in Shanksville, and there was a weird moment yesterday where Joe Biden put on a MAGA hat. We'll get to how that happened, but there had been a moment at the debate the other night in which Donald Trump, and there had been this story that Donald Trump might be giving a MAGA hat to Kamala Harris. Let's play. Go ahead, Michael, and please play cut number 1, if you would.
Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy. But if she ever got elected, she'd change it. And
there we go.
It will be the end of our country. She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist.
And by the way, all right, we can end it there. She never denied, Mercy, that she was a Marxist.
Right.
Go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, but I love the MAGA hat comment because It's kind of like she's flip-flopping. She's copying my policies, like no tax on tips. And then all of a sudden, guess who's walking around with a MAGA hat?
Yes. I mean, this was the strange thing. So what happened is that Joe Biden was at an event in Shanksville, the firehouse in Shanksville. He tried giving somebody a Biden hat. They were wearing a Trump hat. And he said, well, hey, if you're going to give me this, you want me to put it on, you need to put on this Trump 2024 hat. Here's the exchange here. Let's play cut number 2.
Trump hat, I'll give you my presidential hat. Presidential seal on it.
You want to autograph it?
Oh, sure, I'll autograph it.
Huh?
Yeah.
You remember your name?
I don't remember my name. I'm slow.
You're old part. You're an old part.
Yeah, I know, man. I'm an old guy.
And you're an old part.
I know you would know about that.
What?
About being old.
Oh, I know.
All right.
I'm a young timer. Come on.
I ain't going that far.
Yeah, you said you would do a selfie. There he goes.
There he puts on the Trump hat in what is certainly an awkward moment. I mean, it's one of those things where that was the other cringy part of this debate, and the insincerity of Kamala Harris is that Americans know that she's not really talking about unity unless it's unity on their terms. Am I right or wrong here, Mercy?
Yeah. Her problem has become is that it's one lie after the other. That's
Yes.
the biggest issue. It is You can't say, I've got this plan. Okay, lady, you've been in charge for 3.5 years. Why do we have millions of illegals coming through the border? Why do we have, quote unquote, an opportunity economy that is not working for the American people? What have you done for the last 3.5 years? And the excuse I'm getting from the Democrats, Andrew, is that they're saying, well, she's not really the president. She's the vice president. So, she doesn't get to really make all the decisions. And I was like, honey, you own it. You're part of that administration. You're part of the decision-making process. The Afghanistan botched withdrawal was partially because you were involved in it. So I don't want to hear it. Like, you have to take responsibility. And now she wants to, new way forward?
Yes.
A new way forward means she's trying to separate herself from Joe Biden.
Right, you can't have it both ways. That was the one thing that I do wish Donald Trump, the one zinger I wish Donald Trump would have gotten in, which was when Kamala Harris was saying, and very awkwardly, and it was also very awkward when she was trying to use this line. Donald, it's me. I'm Kamala Harris. I'm not Joe Biden. Donald Trump could have just said, "You could have fooled me." I mean, which something to that effect, because in the end, that's exactly it. Because I asked you this question before the end of the last hour. So how do you do it when you have a big personality like Donald Trump and you're doing communications for the president? How shall we say, gently encourage the president to maybe not take the bait on things, maybe to think about the optics, or can you not? How do you do that?
He has such a strong opinion of what his message is. And so as much as you try to, he will listen. It's not that he doesn't listen. He does listen. But he also, Andrew, basically, knows what direction he wants to take his messaging.
Sure.
And so you really can give him the information. You can advise him. But at the end of the day, he's going to do what he thinks he should do. Now, I can tell you, his advisors came in. They prepped him for the debate. He knew exactly where the issues that had to be hit on. I do think that because of the way the structure of the debate was, how it was set up, and the moderators constantly fact-checking him, constantly attacking him, and Kamala just being able to just say one lie after another, no wonder the guy got frustrated.
Sure.
Because it really became a pile-on the President of the United States.
That's exactly right. So we got this thing into Donald. So it's back to this. So Biden sort of wears this MAGA hat. I mean, what do you think that it's a Trump 2024 hat? Is this an image that's going to come back to haunt Joe Biden?
Oh my goodness,
road?
I would do a campaign ad with it. Like, there's so many memes. I mean, we've seen so many cat memes lately. I mean, by the way, my girls, I've been sharing the cat memes with them. We can't get enough of them because they're so hysterical. It's like the cats for Trumps, or eat more chicken. Like, I know that it
should be childless cat ladies for Trump. I mean, this is
no kidding.
This is
so we've got the cat memes, and I think we have now the Biden meme with the hat. It just shows he like the mere fact he just put it on. It's like, I'm sure the Kamala people went crazy because they were all like, "What are you doing, Joe? Do we have to send you back to the beach?" Which raises a bigger question as who the heck is running our government?
Right, absolutely, yes.
Who the heck
is going
is running
down this
our
road?
government?
Listen, I think it's the same people who were running it before. It's just now it's a little bit more shady. By the way, just real quick on the hat thing, I did order for myself and my dad a red with white lettering, relax. It's just a red hat. And I thought that was supposed
I need to get that.
We should get it for everybody in the office. Listen, it is 5:50. I'm sorry, it's 6:15 a.m.
Traffic and weather brought to you by Hadid Carpet Cleaning.
So we've got Jim Gilmore, former governor of Virginia, former ambassador. And I always love talking to Jim Gilmore because he's got such a good grasp of foreign affairs and the mangling that the Democrats have made of them. So he's going to be joining us now on this. This is both domestic and foreign policy. We've got these families who are calling out what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris did on 9/11. And it's actually really interesting, Mercy, because I got a text from a friend of ours who was on the ground, had been doing debate analysis on one of the major networks on Tuesday night, and she texted me a picture from the tarmac in New York. I want to say must have been at LaGuardia, where both Trump and Kamala Harris's planes were on the ground.
Right.
But we got this here. Both of them attended these debates, or they attended these 9/11 events. But then there was this moment on Tuesday where Joe Biden said he was going to do 9/11. It was very strange. Let's go ahead and play cut number 3.
And tomorrow I'm doing 9/11.
Tomorrow I'm doing 9/11. I mean, it was very, very strange. Is cut 3A a little bit better than that, Michael? Do we know? Let's play cut number 3.
I'm going up to my granddaughter's birthday in New York. Then we're going to watch a debate. And then tomorrow I'm doing 9/11. I spoke to the vice president. She seems calm, cool, and collected. I think she's going to do great. And I'm not going to tell you what advice I gave her.
Yeah, so there you go. And so yesterday the criticism was levied, Mercy, over the fact that Biden and Harris were looking at, the Biden and Harris administration was looking at doing a plea deal for the 9/11 hijackers, right? It's very craven to me that here we are at the end of Biden's only term, possibly the end of the Biden-Harris administration in toto, and they're trying to get a plea deal done with the 9/11 hijackers because they want to have that victory. Let's hear cut number 4 here. These are 9/11 widows, survivors.
My husband of 30 years was one of them. It is outrageous that our government would ever entertain the thought of granting the terrorists a plea deal. If not for the outcry of the 9/11 community, who knows what might have transpired. It has been 23 years, and the families deserve justice and accountability.
We can end it there. Your thoughts here. I mean, it's astounding to me that they were going to go down this road of a plea deal.
Yes, and and I got to tell you, that's when you saw it was literally the House Republicans, the congressional members coming out and saying, wait, what are you all doing at the Department of Justice that you're looking to do a plea deal with Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and his associates? Remember, Khalid was the mastermind
KSM
behind 9/11. So this idea of doing a plea deal with terrorists, I mean, when has that ever been, quote unquote, how Americans should conduct foreign policy? So they did stop it. They didn't move forward with it. But I got to tell you, I think it just really shows how this administration has failed time and time again when it comes to anything dealing with foreign policy.
Well, foreign policy, but also law enforcement. I mean, let's be really clear. So we got Biden's DOJ getting a plea deal for Hunter Biden. They wanted to get a plea deal for Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, and yet they have a SWAT team show up at the house of a pro-life activist in Philadelphia.
Oh, and the FBI raiding President Trump's Mar-a-Lago home for the classified documents. And this is the thing, like, there was a line that Kamala Harris used in the debate, Andrew, that it was literally like the courts, should have gotten Trump. Like, she said this line, because I remember I wrote it down because it was so vivid in my mind. And I was like, this is exactly what they're doing. She wants to be like, political opponent, the courts are going to have to take them down. And that's really kind of where their mentality is. They will make sure that Donald Trump does not step into the White House.
Oh, yeah.
Because they've reached to this point of insanity, and she keeps using this argument of 200 Republicans, former, Bush, Cheney, Romney, McCain people signing a letter. It's like, give me a break. These are like the swampiest creatures I've ever known. And, they're probably betting on Kamala Harris getting elected so that they can, get the benefits of it.
This idea of former comms interns signing a letter. I was an intern in the communications department for the McCain campaign in 2008.
And can I say something, like Stephanie Grisham, who has more face work than anyone I've ever seen in my life? She was mentally unstable in the White House. Like, I worked with her during that time. I can tell you personally that she was emotionally unfit to even be in the White House. And the reality is, when you're an advisor to the president, there is a sense of confidentiality where they come to you and they want to be able to talk to you. And if you are there to then backstab them, I don't know. I mean, I just think it's like a complete outrage, in my opinion.
It's so funny, and I know we're up on a break here, but today is also the 15th anniversary of the 9/12 D.C. March, the big Tea Party March in 2009. And I just remember there was somebody in the movement who was, anyway, you get all kinds of these marginal personalities that are involved in these movements. We've got so much more to get to right now. It's 6:23 on WMAL.
Now,
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It is 6:37 on News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news. Good Thursday morning to one and all. We got a great show. We got Jim Gilmore, former governor of Virginia, former ambassador. He's going to be joining us in the next hour. Susan Crabtree, the celebrated reporter from Real Clear Politics. She's got a book out. We're going to talk to her about that. We've got CPAC's got a film premiere happening in D.C. tonight, the latest in the God's Not Dead series. We're talking with Michael Scott and David A.R. White from that film. And Kat Timpf, you know her from Fox. She's a Fox News analyst. She's on Gutfeld, but more to the point, she's got a book out. I used to like you until how binary thinking divides us. I'm Andrew Langer in for Larry O'Connor today, sitting alongside Mercedes Schlapp. Good morning, Mercy.
Hello, Andrew.
So we got this 9/11 yesterday. Let's set the Wayback Machine back to Tuesday. Joe Biden has a very awkward moment, as Joe Biden is wont to do. Here he is talking about his schedule for 9/11. Let's play cut 3A.
And tomorrow I'm doing 9/11.
I'm doing 9/11. You know, as tone deaf as you can get. That's where we are now. And here is a 9/11 widow. Not happy, as you can imagine, with how cavalierly Joe Biden was referring to it. Let's play cut 4A.
Officials here today show their respect and reverence to the families on September 11th. Or, in our president's words, do 9/11. Quite a flippant remark. But please remember that the September 11th families live it every day, not just on the anniversary.
Yeah, she was the widow of a fire department, New York Fire Department chief who was killed on 9/11. And, you know, it's one of those things, Mercy. I obviously grew up in New York. I cannot be in Lower Manhattan still to this day. Not that I was there. I was in D.C. on that day. But I can't go to Lower Manhattan without it being moving and sort of recognizing and still looking for those towers. I can't even imagine, you know, how it is an everyday thing in the lives of folks who lost people or had people even injured on September 11th, both in New York and D.C. We, as a conservative community, we lost Barbara Olson. A lot of tributes to her yesterday. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, you know, I can't imagine if you were so deeply impacted by this, what the president's remarks must have stirred in you. Your thoughts here.
Well, you know, like I do 9/11. Look, I think Biden barely can put a sentence together anymore.
True.
It's really tragic. So I don't view it as something just horrific. What's more horrific is when you had the Pentagon move forward, that they were going to move forward with this plea deal for the accused plotters of the 9/11 attack. Now, they did rescind that plea deal, but the mere fact that it was on the table, I think was very troubling at the time. And so I think for the 9/11 survivors, you know, the family members, it's still raw even after 23 years. I just want to tell you, when it was 9/11, Matt and I were in the White House.
Wow.
We were in the White House together. We were just starting to date, and it was probably it was the moment in time in your life that you realized life is too short. You could die at any moment. And we were evacuated immediately from the White House because they thought that one plane that I think went down to Shanksville, Pennsylvania, was heading to either the Capitol or the White House. So it was one of the most, I think it just left such an impression in our minds. And I just know that now I don't view the world. I don't view the world the same anymore.
So
there are bad people who hate America and want to destroy Americans.
You know, this is important stuff. We talked a little bit about this yesterday. I was around the corner from the White House. I was working at the Competitive Enterprise Institute. My brother was working in the Office of Presidential Correspondence, and he evacuated. Yes, he evacuated to my office, and we hung out. Where did you go? Like when you left the White House, where did you go?
So they literally, we had beepers on at the time.
Of course,
and so they sent a note going, you need to go to this government secret location building. Okay. So the problem is I get for whatever reason, I don't see the the message.
Because
so it
the
is literally
system's overwhelmed, yes.
Yeah, well, it's myself and guess who? Nicole Wallace. Nicole Wallace from MSNBC and I, and this other girl, Ann Colton, who is just a dear friend. We go out and start heading towards where Ed Gillespie's office was.
Okay.
And then we stay there briefly, but everything was so, you couldn't move. It was so, the whole city was just paralyzed. So then we walk up to Georgetown, where Nicole Wallace lived, and that eventually Matt finds me. Like, he literally tells the Secret Service agent, he's like, look, I have got to go find this girl. I cannot find her, which was me at the, looking for me. And his sister tells Matt Schlapp, he goes, you find Mercy and you tell her you love her and you marry her. And guess what? We got engaged in December and then got married in July. And
there you go. Something, there needs to be a book about these stories. I have another project for you, Mercy.
Yeah, another project. And we have a lot to do.
Yes.
Maybe when I'm
much.
old.
No, but here's the thing, right? I mean, this is the reason why that story is important, and you're absolutely right. We can talk about the devastation, and we can talk about the fact that there are people all around the world that hate us, and they do. But it's these very human stories about love and compassion and what we feel for one another. Go ahead, please.
And sacrifice.
Right.
Those first responders who ran towards the building that was burning, those twin
100%.
towers, to save people's lives. Truly, truly heroic. I mean, it makes me want to cry. Because that is what America is about.
Tearing up here. 100%.
Yeah, America is about being resilient. It is about courage and bravery and really standing up against our enemies. Remember, these terrorists wanted to take us down.
Absolutely.
And Americans stood united. There was this moment in time where
I talked about
politics
this.
was put aside for the sake of this great country.
And there were and then the folks who cannot have Americans supporting one another. There are folks out there who cannot absolutely have Americans united against a common foe. The whisper campaigns began. Listen, we got so much more coming up. It's 6:44 here on WMAL. Well, we are back. I am Andrew Langer in for Larry O'Connor today. Joining me, of course, is Mercedes Schlapp. And let me go here. By the way, we're going to be joined by Governor Jim Gilmore, who was governor of Virginia on 9/11. We're going to be talking to him about that. We're having this conversation. I've got kids in college. Mercy has kids in college. Online learning flourishes as residential colleges face rising costs. And this is an important issue here. I mean, I have one who just graduated. I've got one in college. You've got how many kids in college right now, Mercy?
I got 2 in college and 1 applying to college next year. So, I mean, this year.
Yes.
So yeah, it's expensive. That's all I have to say. Very expensive.
And it's one of those things. Listen, I tell you, one of the most frustrating things for me was, last year, when your kids live on campus, you have to get the meal plan. And if your kids don't want to use the meal plan, like my younger one was cooking. It was living, I will say this, in a sorority house, was cooking all the time and doing these things, yet I was still having to pay for the meal plan. But this is an issue as online learning is flourishing, especially as so many colleges are moving to asynchronous learning, this idea of a professor will record the lecture and then the lecture will be put up online. It makes you wonder why do these kids need to go? So anyway, there's been an acceleration in online enrollment since before the pandemic. And yet the the nonprofit colleges, they don't like this, do they, Mercy?
Oh, gosh, no. I mean, we saw this even with the for-profit colleges that we saw. I think it was the federal government just took them out. Like they've been working on it, yes. They did not want the competition. And I think that competition is critical. We need to start seeing the prices of colleges go down. We need students to know that there's not a one-size-fits-all. There's vocational schools. There's this online learning component that maybe some students just feel more inclined to doing.
Right.
College is not for everyone, and I think that that's kind of the message that we need. And I know that Joe Biden wants to pay and forgive everyone's student loan, but that ain't going to happen.
Right. And more to the point, even if he wants to do that, we can question the wisdom of what that does to college tuition and what that does to the folks who've saved for many, many years. I mean, listen to this. A report showed that tuition at the nation's elite universities has reached a record high. BU, Brown, Dartmouth, Harvard, Penn, USC, that's the Southern California one, Tufts, and Yale are charging students more than $90,000 this year.
Oh my God.
$90,000. And we know a lot of those. Yes, it is astounding, and of course, because we can get into the economics of this whole thing, but you have to question. It's so funny. I was looking at potential guests for the policy podcast that I do, and a guy who was writes about these issues used to be head of the National Press Club. The rule is, if your salary for your first year of your job does not equal there's some metric in terms of whatever your college tuition, maybe you shouldn't be doing that major. Maybe you shouldn't be doing these loans. This is important stuff here. Here we got this. Non-denominational Christian college of 350 students went online before the pandemic and charges $325 to $400 per course hour, with its cheapest master's degree costing about $12,000. Out west, Southern Utah University charges $75 per credit hour. These are important metrics for doing this. You have to look at what it is you want to be doing down the road. Sorry, go ahead.
My favorite, I think, quote is from Peter Wood, president of the Conservative National Association of Scholars and a former associate provost at Boston University, basically saying the students who want to steer clear of radical ideology and trivial courses now have a ready alternative that didn't exist a quarter of a century ago. And that is the reality, is that we've seen these colleges go radical. They're Marxist. They're trying to brainwash our kids. And it's critical to know that these kids have a different alternative to learn.
100%. It's 6:52 here on O'Connor and Company, WMAL.